A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us for the 8th August edition of People's Court. People's Court is a radio initiative of Movement of Voice for Democracy, Movers Nigeria, which raises the much needed awareness that invariably deepens the roots of democracy and awakens the populace to a more responsible citizenship. This morning, we are going to be talking about something very, very interesting. And in the studio is the initiator and promoter of Movers Nigeria, Mr. Ifeanyi Chukwu. Good morning.
Fellow citizens, good morning and welcome to People's Court. My name is Ifeanyi Chukwu Okonkwo. I am the Forum Advocate. You're welcome.
I am Chizoba Chukwudi.
Distinguished citizens, we have this morning in the People's Court a contentious conversation issue. The issue is one, why is it that we are so fatigued in Nigeria within the tranche of our democratic experiment? We are just over 15 years into democracy and we are so tired, so worn out, so uninterested. The issue on public table this morning is, what is the reputation of 2015 election in the face of our culture of politics, of stomach infrastructure, point of voting cash and carry politics, and the lack of internal democracy in the political parties? The new social dance step of skelewi, singing, and dance steps have replaced the promotion of the agenda of politics in section 221 of our constitution. Fellow citizens, in this discourse this morning, why is it so? And I will move on to set the agenda so that we can have a proper discussion. There is something in a people which retards development in them. It's just like the issue of Ebola, which is a virotic influence that interrupts our national life this morning. There's something interrupting Nigeria political culture development. Nigerians have always struggled with elections, whether of the national level, or trade union, or students union, or the professional bodies, or market union, or town village elections. At each level of this contest for selecting our leaders, Nigerians find someone to blame. It is either the umpire as the factor, or the excessive influence of money was used to influence the result. We have come to a point in our national democratic life that nobody is responsible. The problem we are facing is so enormous that we hate to talk about it. My findings as the Forum Advocate are that lack of family values, citizens without honor, have now become the instruments that have continued to retard our development. How can we build political structures? I will venture to say, fellow citizens, with all humility, a people without honor cannot build institutions that will support or protect democracy or democratic values. It is not an issue of going to church. It is an issue of your own internal chemistry. The internal chemistry of Nigerians are very wrong. That is why that the system is so much against us and the poor have no space to survive. Fellow citizens, I will invite you to look at the provisions of our constitution to see why we are in a big dilemma. Section 221 of our constitution has cast so much power and responsibility on political formation, but yet Nigerians are not interested. Where is the highway for you to have good governance? The highway to have good governance is through associations that promote political issues. And that is why Section 221, with your permission, and this is what he said: no association other than a political party shall canvass for votes for any candidate at any election, or contribute to the funds of any political party, or to the election expenses of any candidate at an election, unquote. If this is the decree in our constitution, that the only way you can present yourself to improve your community, to serve your community, is that you must belong to a political party, why are we shying away from participating in party politics? The greatest danger is the exclusiveness of the party membership. These people that have now cornered this high institution of electing our leaders have made it impossible that no person with better ideas on how to do things will have an opportunity to be member in that group. Then I will move a little bit further before I now call on the members of the court, that when you see that Nigerians don't even know the enormity of Section 221 of our constitution, you will tune your radio, you will tune your television stations, and then you find out that certain reckless groups and individuals are dancing around promoting candidature of individuals, and they don't know that they are infringing on our right as citizens to have a quiet interaction with the radio stations and televisions, or even the newspapers. You find people who call themselves Youths for Ebele Jonathan. You find people that call themselves South Community. You find people that call themselves Patrons of Jonathan Youth Vanguard, Ibon Continuous Transformation Movement, Jonathan Elite Volunteer Group, Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria, Neighbor to Neighbor, Yes for Jonathan, Coalition of Nigerian Youth for Goodluck Jonathan. These people are lawless people. They are lawless groups because they are now beginning to canvass in contradiction with what is stated in our constitution. Before we go further, I also want you to look at the critical issue is how do you participate in your community government? Uche, you are in this panel. What do you think that is responsible? Because I know you are not a member of a political party, and you are every day praying for good governance, and you don't go, if you don't attend meetings, if you don't belong to the group, how do you make contribution? Yes, sir.
Okay. There is a high level of apathy.
Do you call it apathy?
Yes.
Go on.
There's a high level of apathy. One is I just relocated to Enugu, and I've not been able to register to become a member of a political party, but I have my card for vote.
You will only vote for who? People who you don't know that have thrown themselves up. That is why you go to campaign. That is why it's so topical this morning that we are talking about what is the reputation of that election. Okay. Reputation means value. How do you assess it? Can you take the election to the bank and put it in the bank? We are talking about when politicians will mark the soapbox and say they are doing political campaign. You see masquerades, you see dance groups, you see bands, musicians. Musicians are having a field day. Where are the issues that will motivate the people? And the people have introduced or have now been sucked in by what they call stomach infrastructure. They sew uniform, they give them cloth, they give them bags of rice, bags of semovita, they give them even loan. They have community banks, and you want democracy to grow. Where else, which other climb do you see this type of attitude? I will say one thing further before we now can open the talk line and move on. When you look at the Electoral Act, the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. Of particular importance is Section 80 in that law, and which stated thus, and I quote, "A political party registered under this act shall be body corporate with perpetual succession and a common seal, and may sue and be sued in its corporate name." Distinguished citizens, one issue that now agitates my mind is what law governs membership of political party? There is no law that governs the membership of a political party. Section 221 has cast a heavy duty on the political formation to throw up our elite, the leadership that will govern us. And there is no law. We have been told that it's a body corporate. How do you become a member of a company? You become a member of a company by subscribing to the company. Your name will be in the register. You will be given a membership certificate, and you pay dues, and you attend meetings, and there are laws that you must hold such and such number of meetings. These requirements cannot be governed by the constitution of the party. It ought to be governed by an extant law. If we say that they have become a body corporate, let's assume, for those who appreciate the law and development in Nigeria, is that it is like a public trustee. It is like a non-profit organization which has to have its laws. We can now go back to the Companies and Allied Matters Act and subject the parties to the provisions of the incorporated trustees, so that within that frame of law you cannot afford not to be an active member, otherwise you'll be delisted. It is not a question of when one chairman will carry the register and run away and say, look, we have new membership. If you are not in our old list, you can't participate. You don't do businesses of political leadership like that. Now, you might find out that that is the reason why our politicians describe political party, and I quote, as a vehicle to achieve a political career.
Okay.
They use it as a meal ticket to jump on top of us and now begin. People who have no idea, people who cannot manage themselves, will now use that opportunity as an ambush to come and lead us. Because if there are laws governing membership, those laws you will be subjected to before you decide to leave one party to another. You follow due process.
Okay.
And that is why things are not working. Chizoba, what is your contribution as a community leader?
The Skelewu dance step, as you said, is really taking lead in what is happening in the political parties. But the whole thing is all about family value, because the youths, starting from the youths, or even downwards, nothing is happening. Because I always believe that catching them young now is not from secondary school, it's down to primary school. Because even down to secondary school, you find out that they've even overgrown the adults. Their reasoning and the value they have about everything is zero. Because when even he asks youth about it, they always describe politics as a dirty party, as a dirty business. So we need to really, the reformation starts down from primary school. That is what I think where the change have to start from.
It's so painful that you walk the streets and you see women, youths of this country that have good education. They don't read the newspaper, they are not interested in what is happening around them, and they are looking for job. Let us call in the jury so that we can broaden this the theater for this discussion.
All right. The way politics are run in Nigeria is what makes people uninterested.
The constitution, the supreme law of the land, have told you you cannot participate. You cannot promote a person except you are in a group recognized in section 221.
Okay.
So how can you tell me that the way politics is, we must take back our community?
Okay.
People have to get interested. They tell you that politics is dirty. The only business today striving is politics in Nigeria. They produce nothing. All they are doing is to use their blotting paper and service themselves with the resources of the people.
Okay, so today what we're saying, everybody should get interested, irrespective of the way it's looking, because that's the only way we can take back our community. The participation of all and sundry is necessary.
So he's talking about having orientation. He suggested the Tanzanian model. This Tanzanian model is one party state, and in the light of new developments and the flaws of that system, a lot of people may not agree that we can have only one platform. So we may have to now create another window that why don't we look inwards to find out why democracy is wobbling in Nigeria. The weakness in our democracy, as I see it, is one, there is no core value or philosophy
of the
political party.
Okay.
Two, there are no foot soldiers who are promoting ideas.
Okay.
Three, the elites we have in Nigeria are intellectually bereft of stamina to sustain any struggle. We are all in comfort zone. We don't want to get involved. Look at the generation that engineered the political development in Nigeria. Some of them were very committed activists that have to even risk their own liberty. The issue today is that the parties are dead, and the membership drive is not there. It's not even part of their program to go and recruit more people so that there will be new blood in the system. They avoid anybody that has superior idea. Then you now see why the campaign is without manifesto other than Kelewu dancing. If you watch television about a week or 2 weeks ago, all the parties, including the president, they were all dancing around. I said, what type of country is this? Where are the issues? If you are going to campaign in like a state in Osun that will be voting on Saturday, the issues that are very, very germane and important to the people in that zone is what the party will come to unveil in the party electioneering campaign, to tell the people what the issues are, so that you will make the people understand why leadership is important, rather than bringing people that will come and you'll be singing hit songs and dancing around as if we have come for a party. The people have lost focus. That is why everybody is now looking for who will give us kerosene, who will give us petrol, who will give us money. And then the greatest disaster is now we have also have POS in voting. You go to the centers where they vote, there are people there waiting, give me money so I vote for your party. It's POS.
Wow.
That is the new innovation in Nigeria. And the politicians will come with bags full of money, and they sit down in one mango tree, and you go and collect, you show us. Now they are talking about when you go and vote, you take photograph of your card so that you can confirm. Somebody said the professor was telling Nigerians that he wants to use it to show his children that there was a political development in his own regime. What a pity. But the issue here is, what can you call the type of democracy we are practicing? Because when we look at the problem, then we're able to begin to understand. Now, the national conference has been hijacked by sectional interest.
Yeah.
And 2050 election is now around the corner. What are the issues facing us in 2015 election? Our politicians are defecting from one party to another, dancing, singing hit songs. If you go to a campaign, what they do is APC will sing against AD. AD would, what type of a people? And you see them, they said, tell you they have PhD. They are running for office and they will be reeling out their qualifications. These people have nothing in their idea about leadership. So, and you now see that Nigerians themselves have been sucked in. They don't make demand. They are not there. Everybody is there sitting, waiting for dancing. And then driving around in open cars and the rest of them. That was when Nigeria was still trying to evolve. That was Azikiwe's and the Awolowo system.
They even seem to be better than
But they had issues. There is no issue. So
There is a question that is really striking my mind. You said something about there is nothing like membership drive, and from the look of things, they don't want the prefect of their class to come close because they will interrogate what they are doing. So, how do now the prefect of the class that are now being frustrated, what is the way out? How do they now fight and get back what is theirs?
beautiful. That brings us to the issue of the professional groups. You will never believe this. Go to the elite class, the medical doctors,
Okay.
the scientists. Nigerian Medical Association election is based on zoning. The lawyers who we think that they will save us, they also zone, and this is the headquarters of bribery and corruption. You read the papers and you be so much ashamed. How can these people who now are so well trained to protect and defend the society, to re-engineer society, who you pay them money to go and vote for people, they zone leadership, and where is the federal structure in Nigeria? So where are we running to? People need to understand that we are in a big dilemma. The dilemma is that a generation that are now aging in this country, the brightest generation in Nigeria, the brightest, who saw the evolution of Nigeria, were born from 1945, and they are the elders today, and they have nothing to transfer to the younger generation.
Wow.
But the transition is deadlocked. So we have a serious issue. It is not opening churches. The churches themselves have to tell the people about their responsibility. You don't go to church to solve problem. I hear some ministries telling people, believe in yourself, do the proper thing, so that things will change.
Okay.
You can't expect miracle when you are doing the same thing.
You're saying everybody should get involved in.
It is important that you must belong to a party. If you don't like the ones that are going on now, form your own. Invite your friends. The situation is so bad is that there is no viable sorority or fraternity in Nigeria anymore. You don't see clubs, you don't see Boy Scouts, you don't see young people aspiring to belong to a group other than cultism.
All the groups are
Because
hijacked.
they now feel if the politicians have cornered leadership, we must form into a gang cult to seize power and then become parasite in the system.
All right, the top. All right, thank you, Chaplain.
He has mentioned a very he is dealing with the root of the problem,
Okay,
but we are missing something. Who will own the project?
who will do that?
Who will own the project? Who are you suggesting to do this? Is it these people who don't understand what leadership is all about? We need to come in,
All right, go ahead.
because what we see is that all those character formation blocks we saw when we were growing up have vanished.
When did it go wrong? When did this?
This is why we are interrogating the community this morning. Why is it that you are not interested? Because we have come to a stage where Nigerians need to look at themselves properly. I'm so sorry. So the issue is that where is the problem? From the diagnosis, from what I have been trying to find out, fellow citizens, my fear is that there are three main elements that are responsible for lack of democratic values in Nigeria, which also affects every other parish.
Okay.
One is poor family values. Poor family values. Because when a child is delivered, he imbibes certain values. They will tell you that our community do not eat rat, or that our community eat rat, that this is the way it's prepared, this is our dance, this is our song, this is our feasts, this is the structure of leadership in our community. When you lose that track, it's just like raising a child drinking SMC formula without sucking your mother's breast. The next thing is poor knowledge.
Ignorance.
Some people call it education. Education is not in four walls. Education is by interaction, by looking at what you see from your elders. That is the transition. Education is about folklores. Education is about tradition. Education is about how do you grow up. The family links and lack of knowledge today, our handicrafts, our cultural value, our dance, our social interaction, festivities, our food is gone. Everybody is now cooking with Maggi and all kinds of things. They don't know the transition. Our parents, even our young people today, do not understand the evolution of how you put a bird that they cook, they call it chicken, and eat it. They don't know how the evolution. And you think that when you go to university and come back, and then the society will be all right. So we need knowledge, not purely just classroom education. Then the greatest thing is that we lack honor. Can you say that black people don't like honor? In our climb, there are certain things you abhor. There are certain things you don't accept. We have come to a nation of anything goes. This is why social relationships are breaking up. People can't keep to their word. People are so slimy. Nothing works. That is why mediocres have now taken the center stage. Because once they give you what they call democratic dividend, personal one, they give you a car, they give you position you don't deserve, and then from that position you want to dominate others. You now want to become prefect when you have been a backbencher, and these things, now the sense of value and judgment will become impaired.
Kills merit.
So what? There's no merit, because once you lose integrity, there's no merit. Because in my own climb, I believe that we must have honor. There are certain things, rubbish, that you will never stomach, no matter what is the compensation that they are giving to you. You tell them, I will reject this thing on first principles. So once you have no honor, you are promoting mediocrity. You are promoting lack of integrity.
Open to anything.
So resultantly, you can never expect a people that have set substandard values for their youth to make progress in the global world. Systems that have worked in other societies bring so much discomfort and pain to Nigerians. If you talk to young people that are under 40 in this country, they tell you, you won't work. This is Nigeria. You have to learn how to be a Nigerian. And it has become a vogue. And when they say this thing, it registers in their brain that you don't challenge anything. You don't live for anything. You have no principle. The elite, the intellectual groups in this country are perpetually kneeling down without asking questions. And when you now talk, they say, if everybody is not saying a word, who are you? They will kill you. Nobody is killing you. You are killing yourself. Because when you die of intellectual hemorrhage, when you are knowledgeable and you see a person who is less competent that is giving you instruction, and they will be drumming around and telling you, you better believe it, will be your governor and this and that, and you agree. And there will be no change. That is why all over the history, we are looking for struggles by black people. We don't struggle for anything. We just sit down and pray. God said you also have to help yourself. So our penchant for being dishonorable is robbing our men and women of the moral and spiritual tool of building strong institutions that will support and promote democratic culture in Nigeria. That is my submission.
Wow. poor family values, poor knowledge, and we lack honor. We lack honor, and I think we have gotten our definitions confused as to who is.
But you are a complainant. We are in the people's court. We need people who pass verdicts, give us ideas how we can tackle this dilemma.
Okay.
The issue is that she looks at herself as a lesser a person who is not a leader. That is what she has now, because she's over 20 years old. She has maybe the frustration of not being gainfully employed diminishes her person, and the self-esteem is lost. What you need to do is to get together on a positive note with one or two of your friends and find people that you can synergize to make demand on the system. If you don't make demand on the system, most young ladies that I know are not interested in how parties are formed, who are members of a party.
How do people become members of parties?
This is why you need to know the constitution of Nigeria.
Okay.
You go to, maybe you get your groups together and find out, interrogate these people who are going around saying they are campaigning for office and tell them what the problems are. You tell him you are not a better person that will lead us. Okay. Let us come into an inclusive system so that we all can participate and seek office. Before you know it, they start erecting roadblocks. They tell you before you become a councillor, you will go and buy form for 100,000. And then you go to Nigeria courts. The judges themselves will now look at the law and tell you, yes, the parties have right to fix. That is nonsense. We challenge it.
Okay.
Because the guiding principle of our jurisprudence is our constitution.
Okay.
So that judgment that the party can set, you cannot set anything that will give advantage to a particular group.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional. So we need people, young people, you have education, you get into groups and challenge the system, make demand on the system. Otherwise, nothing will ever change.
I think poverty is a factor here.
Poverty is not the problem.
Okay.
That you are poor does not diminish you from thinking. But when you are poor and you are in this false ceiling that nothing can change, then it becomes a religion.
Okay.
Now, in a case where you have a group and you want to join the political party and they refuse because of maybe the group, they are afraid of the group and the interrogation you people are there for, and they refuse your membership, what then happens?
You don't join a party as a group. Leadership is about conspiracy. You must conspire. The reason why we are doing this today, we are conspiring to inspire people to get interested in how the state of affairs will never change, except we make these interrogatories.
Okay.
I decided to do this with my friend. We are putting up money. We are putting up time. We are seeking knowledge so that we come under the constitution to give people access to new information. The issue is this: you join as individuals, starting from your ward. If you have friends and the youth are majority and they are not interested in using their number, the women are in majority and they are not interested in using their number, you network and tell people, look, we have looked at this platform. This is the platform we will use to achieve change. All of us go and register in a party from your ward. The minute you go to register, they might be carrying around the register for some time. After a while, they have to. If they don't, you get into a group who can help you go to court and make sure they bring the register. So that you register and they must call meeting. That's why I'm saying that party membership should be regulated by Part C of the Companies and Allied Matters Act.
Okay.
That is for the group or board of trustees or trustee group friendly association, so that if you register to be a member, there must be certain guidelines that the party must meet to remain a party, not INEC telling us that they are controlling. The INEC Jaga doesn't know what is happening in the Nigerian political system. That's why the product that is coming out It's not what the people expect.
Yeah.
You join a party, you be given certificate of membership, you subscribe, you pay, you must pay to be a member. Nigerian political parties, there's no subscription. Nobody can deny you to be a member of a party. The Supreme Court of Nigeria have also decreed on that. So you become a member. There are certain number of meetings each ward must call, and the membership attendance. For you to resign in a party, you must bring back your registration certificate, like the way you become a member of a company and you want. This is why 1 minute you see a politician say, I have left APC, I'm joining PDP. These people don't know what the law is, and they are lawless. So we need to begin to capture what the problems are, so that we can inculcate the culture. Thank you so much, sir. This is this is a very robust contribution he has made, and I will give it to him that he's a very knowledgeable man, but he's a fence keeper. He has been on the fence. We need people like this person that just spoke.
Okay.
He didn't identify himself, to lead, because he had all the characteristics of how to tackle our problem.
Okay.
I concede to him that they are political party constitution, but there's something I want to remind him. Who controls? Where do you, Ghana, where can you now see that there is a benchmark on how the party constitution and membership and programs are run? This is why we are talking about unbundling INEC, because INEC can't supervise the political parties. The parties, we have replete of cases to the Supreme Court about nominations, because the Supreme Court now said, if you did not participate in a primary, you cannot question the primary.
Okay.
The people have no ownership of the party.
Okay.
The issue I'm trying to introduce is that under our constitution, without making a sweep, because this issue, he has made a very big contribution to the development. That's why we're having the conversation. The issue is this: if political parties are body corporate,
Okay.
there must be a law
Okay.
that governs its activities. Like you're a member of a company, there are certain things, if you don't do right, somebody will challenge you. It is not as easy as saying once you belong to a party and you subscribe to constitution, their party, oh yes, you cannot complain.
Okay.
Being a member of an association that is a body corporate gives you some special rights, that there will be ways of selecting your leaders, there will be ways of presenting people that will contest election. It is not always an issue that you run to campaign or challenge through electoral tribunals.
Okay.
Today in Nigeria, the first case that came up in 1999 issue was who can question an election in Nigeria. The case of Igolume against Obasanjo.
Okay.
That case said, no, you cannot question an election except you are a candidate in that election.
Okay.
So that decision must be revisited, because this is why the people have lost control.
Okay.
If things are not going right, and then except you participate in an election, you can interrogate that election. So we need a constitutional court that will take issues of membership in a political association. If you don't like it, you don't have to be an electoral issue.
Okay.
So I want him to maybe have a second look on the issue of the laws that will govern that constitution, which the party used to rob the people of opportunity of questioning election. This is so important. How many Nigerians listen to radio? We take it for granted that they are listening to radio.
Yes.
So all these issues, when we were growing up, the space was narrower. NBC had what they call a voice box that you buy and put. It was the only thing. So people were more knowledgeable in our own time because we were. Today there are so many competing influence. One thing I'm saying is that you don't need to create new bureaucracy. when you unbundle NEC. That's why we are having this conversation. We need new ideas. If our law says that INEC, that parties are body corporate, let us run them under Part C of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Let all the parties subject themselves to those critical issues about how to become a body corporate.
What difference will it make?
The difference it makes is that it gives the members right to ventilate grievances, to ventilate impunity in the party. You now take them to court. That court is where you can now not only going for election court.
Okay.
Where today, if the party is doing something wrong, they will tell you is in the party. Affirmation is part of our system. Is affirmation in Part C of our Companies and Allied Matters Act. That is why they are narrowing the space, squeezing those who are handicapped, who are economically handicapped. And what I'm saying is this: it is no longer an excuse that you are poor. Somebody responsible why you are poor. What I'm telling people is that you are poor have not robbed you of your culture.
Okay.
That you are poor have not robbed you of thinking positively. That is why we need to go back to rebuild ourselves and our relationship with the society.
Okay.
How do you build institutions?
Don't you think that in spite of what you're proposing, if corruption is at the base, that it will still not work?
Corruption is in the branches, is not in the root. The root is when you have no honor.
Okay.
That is when you become a candidate for corrupt practices. The root is when the system we are following, you are not knowledgeable, you are not interested. Somebody walks in and gives you a bag of rice and asks you to vote for me, and you call it infrastructure. I give it to us now, because if you go there, we will not see you again. You have no knowledge.
That's poverty talking.
It's not poverty, it's lack of knowledge.
Okay.
Because that man who or his political party that have painted and brought you this rice, let them show us their financial statement. There is nowhere. INEC, the parties are supposed to submit their financial plan.
Okay, let's take this call.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Christian, I really want to ask you, the initiator. A hungry man, they always put it, is an angry man. Whereby you're working with people and you're hungry, you're poor, but you're the prefect of your class. The first caller, the first female, the cheetah call, said you don't have a work, but there's a reservation for somebody that is still in school. Now, whereby you're working with people that lack honor, you already have a program, you're planning towards something, and these politicians now come behind you and now bribe those people that lacks honor. How then will you, that is poor and you don't have anything doing, how then can you now confront the issue? Because the people you're working with are no longer with you, they've moved with the Ghana Must Go.
Oh, thank you. I will illustrate this issue with what happened yesterday at the convocation of Lagos State University. This is life. The government of APC in Lagos State hiked university education tuition
By
and
300%.
yeah, from 25,000 naira to 300,000. And leadership quickly came up. They are poor people. They did not say, oh, we are poor, we have nothing to do. They decided to riot using the animal instinct, which we don't support. But later on, they got together and made demand on the system.
And they reverted.
And quickly, the governor shamelessly had to deliver a speech. It's a shameless attitude. Because this shows you the type of people who are leading us. He is not doing us a favor. The critical issue is that some young people gave leadership and gave them a run. They know that if he had not done what he did,
2015.
no, the vibration might be in Osun State.
Okay.
You better think.
Okay, okay.
So it's critical. So let us use what we have. That is ways of confronting the corruption we are talking about. These are poor people. These are not rich people. They decided to beat them by engaging them intellectually. You find out that these people who are leading us are empty. Because before you hike education, or you must know the cost of education, and you have to have an index of what is costing the government and what the government will save and where you plow what you have saved and the reasons for the hike.
Okay.
It is not a cosmetic issue that you come in a convocation and tell them that the people came democratically and then we have reversed it. Reversed what? Where do you have the audacity to even increase it in the first place? Movers Nigeria is ready to give you mentorship.
Okay.
It is a non-violent way, but you must articulate. Because if you ask these people who say that they are leading us, one of their weakest points is that they don't know mathematics. They can't calculate anything. So you confront them with statistics.
Okay.
They don't even know the number of students in our universities. And every day they will tell you that they want to, very soon they will privatize even your education.
Now, Chibuzal's talk now brings us down to the youth and the university.
Which is critical.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no more clubs in the university.
Apart from the clubs, the SUG elections.
That is also hijacked.
Yes.
It's also
because
hijacked.
it's all part of the whole thing.
The reason why it's hijacked is that the sororities of this cultism have seen that those who are not the prefect of their class have taken the political leadership. They now decided to form a gang to dominate their fellow.
Apart from the cultists,
let's take this call.
The problem of how do you participate in your government, that issue, because of want of time, we will give it proper time. Remember that we are in a constitutional democracy, and being a constitutional democracy, section 7 of the Constitution say that there will be a democratic local government, and the states will ensure that we have them. And one important thing is that how will the members of the party know what the man they elected is doing, and how do you now challenge it?
Okay.
It becomes an issue. Because the reason why I'm saying that we must unbundle the management of political parties from INEC and put it under the section part C of the Companies and Allied Matters Act is to give members a voice, to summon general meetings when the party leadership will decide to hijack the party and be holding meeting in government house, so that in that way we will take back our government. Because you cannot promote leadership in the nation except you're a member of a party.
Okay.
So if what the chairman and councillors of the local government are doing is not within the law, the citizens will challenge it in court.
Okay.
And that is why the courts are there. That's why we have lawyers. And our lawyers, the American people have been promoting what they call NGO. These are non-governmental organizations. Is to find a way to make Africans expand the space to participate in their government. But here, NGOs are formed.
They're also monetized now.
Are formed only me and my wife, and then you use it to go and look for how to go and share rice. That is not what it is. To fight and mobilize the people and give them a voice in their government. So these things that I hope that the local governments will also know, that they have to hold town hall meetings so that they will tell their people how they are running the government and give account. So we need to find a way to expand the participation of the people, not always complaining. The radio program Movers is sponsoring is for conversation.
Okay.
Let us broaden the space, converse, and find a way of meeting each other. And
okay.
My submission.
Thank you so much. I feel that the bottom line of what we have said today is that we must re-engineer family value. We must seek knowledge. And Nigerians, please, go back to your culture, have some honor for yourself, On this note, let us be friends. We see you next week. This court will rise.